Hello, a very warm welcome back to the channel. Now, quite honestly, in the last week or so, there has been that many newsworthy incidents involving electric vehicles, EVs, that it's hard to keep up with. I could not release a video for each one. So what I'm thinking here is we can have a bit of a Tuesday news roundup, put me on in the background, listen in, I'll get you up to speed while you get on with something else. Unfortunately, we are opening with a horrible story here. 4 people dead after a Tesla erupted into flames in France. Police probing blaze. Absolute sincere condolences to everyone involved here. This is awful. It's terrible. 4 people killed in France after a Tesla electric car caught fire as police now investigate the cause of the inferno. The blaze occurred outside the city of Niort on Saturday around 10:45 p.m. causing the deaths of the driver and the 3 passengers who were employees at a nearby restaurant. According to preliminary reports, the vehicle rammed into several road signs at high speed. It's a bit curious, isn't it? It reminds me of some of those Jaguar F-Pace circumstances where the throttle jammed on and the driver had no control. As I say, I'm speculating here. No one knows what the cause of this is. I'm sure it'll come out. The passengers on board were already dead when rescuers arrived at the scene, police said, but the cause of the fire remains unknown at the moment and an inquiry has been opened. We can see it there. Just an absolute fireball. What chance she got there. A local judge said an inquiry has been opened to determine the causes and circumstances of the deadly accident, a probe during which expertise on the vehicle will be requested. Tesla, founded by billionaire CEO Elon Musk, has frequently faced scrutiny over safety issues, and the article goes on to discuss some of the circumstances where Model X's and autopilot features have failed over in the USA, and there's been fatalities there as well, and unfortunately it's likely going to be something that we're going to see more of. Something else this article mentions is just how much more of a handful it is when we've got a fire with a lithium-ion battery involved. Yes, absolutely. People often make the argument back to say, well, petrol isn't exactly a non-flammable liquid, is it? Well, of course it is. Petrol, diesel, it can all catch fire. However, the problem is with your lithium-ion battery, the fire burns so much more ferociously, so much hotter, and it's just so much harder to contend with as well. It requires massive amounts of water, massive amount of resources from fire and rescue crews. It's just so much more of a handful. This article goes on to another incident that occurred, a fire that was in the Leytonstone area of East London during the early hours of the morning. So there is a video and some images available. This was a Skoda EV. The cause of the fire is still unknown. Likely a compromised battery. A single fire engine is usually sent to car fires with petrol or diesel engines, but fire chiefs are now sending 2 units for electric vehicles or hybrids that have lithium-ion batteries. Yeah, just as we're saying there. Energy stored in the batteries is released as heat in a process known as thermal runaway, which is extremely difficult to extinguish and can produce rocket-like flames. I'm sure we've all seen that with the flames belching out. And again, just an absolute fireball, leaves a burnt-out wreck. And this is the other consideration the article quite rightly so gets into. They also belch out highly toxic fumes such as hydrogen cyanide and carbon monoxide, posing a secondary risk to those who live nearby. We had that battery plant go on fire, local to where I live actually, about 20 minutes up the road, and all the residents were told, just close your windows. A lot of them had already said there was a horrendous smell in the air, and you wonder. They claim there's no fatalities, they claim there was no injuries, but people breathing in those fumes, how's that going to go years from now? Are we going to see respiratory diseases as a result of people breathing this kind of thing? It's very possible. Hopping over to the other side of the Atlantic, getting away from fires, California cops are finding out that their Teslas are nearly unusable as police cruisers. Now, I made a video on this when the police adopted these cruisers, and it was all very positive. Let's cut to a little scene of that just to get some grounding here.
Being the first agency to convert our fleet all at once, it's exciting in the sense that there's this huge opportunity that we believe will transcend other agencies across the world, and being able to work collectively and make this project and this mission better will just benefit law enforcement across the world significantly in the coming years.
So yeah, it looks like the reality is hitting home. Police in California are experiencing what happens when good intentions crash into reality. Police departments are transitioning to battery-powered vehicles, but those vehicles come with challenges that make cops' jobs more difficult. Who would have thought it? California is all in on the electric future, planning to ban the sale of gas and diesel-powered cars starting in 2035. To get ready for this brave new world, some police departments started buying in a few Teslas. These departments immediately ran into serious problems using the vehicles as cruisers, such as a lack of charging infrastructure, inadequate interior space, expensive and lengthy retrofitting processes, interference from advanced driver safety assistance systems, and more. Yeah, who didn't see this coming? Police Chief Cedric Crook for Ukiah, California Police Department told San Francisco Gate he doesn't think the department's Model 3s will see action anytime soon. Can you imagine having a couple of those things in a car chase, getting compromised batteries and ending up in a fireball? What a massive drain on resources. Police are often required to transport suspects, witnesses or victims for cases they're working, sometimes for long distances. Crook remembered a case where his detective drove 630 miles to Mexico to transport a potentially dangerous subject in their vehicle. If the detective were in a Tesla, Crook noted that they would have spent an hour in the middle of the drive at an unsecured public charging station standing guard over the prisoner, something that would not happen with an internal combustion engine. Yes, this is an extreme circumstance where we've got an officer with a potentially dangerous subject, but even someone alone in the middle of nowhere having to stand around for an hour. I'd rather just fill my fuel tank, to be honest. Another concern Crook has about Teslas and EVs broadly comes from an essential lesson he was taught in the police academy. In a firefight, hide behind the engine block. In a Tesla, there is no engine block, leaving officers without their preferred cover, he said. And worse than that, what you do have is that lithium-ion battery, and you don't want to find out what happens if you shoot one of those and stand in the direction of the bullet hole. There's also the issue of charging. While public chargers are on the rise, police have struggled to find and use them. And they say that stopping to charge while on a long haul with a dangerous suspect can put officers at undue risk. The Model Y is not much better than the Model 3, according to the Menlo Park officers. Problems include cramped spaces for cops in bulletproof vests and duty belts, leaving little room for comfort and an inability to do cop-like things like jump curbs due to autopilot programming. You probably don't want to do that anyway and risk hitting that battery. But there is an obvious option here. Don't use a Tesla. Exactly. Now, the last bit of news to get you up to speed today is following on from another video that I recently made all about electric vehicle insurance and how the introduction of the vehicle risk rating system is going to affect premiums here in the UK, because one of the categories that vehicle risk rating system looks at is repairability, something that EVs are notoriously bad for. They just are. They're hard to repair. They take longer to repair. They're more expensive to repair. And that's going to be reflected in insurance premiums going forward. Now, we can go a step further than that, because one of the biggest insurers over in the US, the second biggest actually, Geico, has declared that they will not be covering a certain type of Tesla moving forward. So Geico, the second largest vehicle insurance underwriter in the US, has made a surprising decision. It will no longer offer coverage for the Tesla Cybertruck. The company is actively terminating existing Cybertruck policies, stating that the truck doesn't meet our underwriting guidelines. The decision has directly affected many Cybertruck owners. Robert Stevenson, a notable Cybertruck owner, recently shared his experience of Geico removing his Cybertruck from their multi-vehicle insurance policy. Robert took to social media, initially posting on X and later Reddit to express his frustration. Geico say they can no longer insure my Cybertruck. He further commented, "It makes no sense, as there are other riskier cars out there. Let me know if you recommend any insurer for the truck. I have 8 cars with an amazing record. I will be cancelling my entire Geico policy. Bye-bye." And Geico are probably all too happy to say bye-bye to him as well, because it comes down to the repairability. It needs to make economical sense for an insurer. That's how they make money. And if these things are notoriously difficult to repair and expensive, they're just simply not going to do it. The juice is not worth the squeeze, so to speak. Now, what makes this particularly significant is, well, this is the first time an insurer has ever point blank refused and actively cancelled policies on an electric vehicle. Could it be the tip of the iceberg? Could this be something that we're going to see more of going forward as more insurers follow suit? Time will tell. Now, that's all we've got for you today. Thank you so much for watching. Do hit that subscribe button to keep up to speed. Hit the like button. And as always, let me know your thoughts in the comments section below.